Now, it's nice to see so many people here. That's wonderful. We're really excited to have you all here. And believe it or not, you don't actually represent the whole of the new people that are starting, because not everyone can make it to orientation. So just imagine there's probably another third more of you. Would that be right, guys? 99. So there's 99 starting students. So yes, you're not all here, but we're really grateful that a lot of you are here, because it means that we don't have to sort of repeat the information too much. But we are, for the sake of not having to repeat too much stuff, we are actually recording today as well. So now I'm actually just going to hand this around. This has got some sticky labels in there, and I just thought it might be nice to, when you're meeting other students, if you've got your name on you. So I've just got some, you can pick which colour you want, and you can be creative, whatever you want. They've given me some sort of oldish labels. So I did cut some up. Believe it or not, that's actually like one side is sticky and one side's not. Or you can pull the... Anyway, I'll show you work it out. So I'll let you just do that and pass it round. Okay? Just as we go. Yep. So on with the formalities. We've got quite a busy 4 hours for you today. My name's Lynn Gum. I'm one of the midwifery lecturers. And because we want you to be able to meet as many lecturers as possible today, we've actually got the whole team here this morning, and they're going to introduce themselves shortly. But I've just got a couple of housey things, like I'll just see what I've got next to my slide, because I can't remember. As always at Flinders, we always like to acknowledge, instead of saying I'm actually going to say we, so we begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of this country. In particular, we acknowledge the Kaurna peoples, the traditional owners of the lands and waters of the region on which Flinders University is located. Okay, so we're going to get straight to meeting the team first, so they can all go off and do their busy preparation for the semester. So let's start with Annette, because you're first off the rank.
My name's Annette Briley. I'm Professor of Women's Health and Midwifery Research, which sounds really, really grand. Very rarely use the title. I came to Flinders about a year ago from London. You can probably tell by my accent. Very happy that I beat COVID in the UK, where all my colleagues are working. I think you're very lucky. You're embarking on an amazing career in a very special place. I just want you to know that my door's open. If you've got any issues you want to talk about, then come and see me, especially if you've got any ideas for research, because we're really trying to put research on the map in this place, and that's my remit. Okay, so please don't call me Professor, don't even call me Doctor, my name's Annette.
Thanks, Annette. Okay, so who we got next? We've got Mariam. Now, Mariam is actually not here today. She's our course coordinator, and the reason she's not here is because she's in quarantine. So she's just been overseas. But she will be here next week, so she'll get to meet you all then. And then we've got Kate.
Hi, welcome. Congratulations in getting into possibly the best course Flinders offers. My name's Kate, and I'm a teaching specialist in midwifery here. I also work clinically at a Lyle McEwen hospital, and I do a whole bunch of international work too overseas with midwifery. So, yeah, nice to meet you all. Oh, actually, my role here in Flinders is the placement education coordinator, so I assist you guys in making sure that you are compliant and going out to placement and meet all of the objectives you need to meet too. We'll chat about that later.
Kate's also very busy with lecturing and doing lots of stuff in the clinical skills labs with the students as well. Okay, so then we've got me. So I've been working in this role as a midwifery lecturer for probably this is my 5th year, and I really enjoy it. This is was the job of my dreams that I've been aspiring to. I've been working as a midwife and a nurse for a very long time, and done my PhD in the meantime, and now finally landed into this education role. So I'm quite excited to be teaching you this year. And I have an extra role as well, which is Student Engagement Coordinator, and that is just to give students extra support, but Kate and I will both be sort of explaining our roles in a bit more detail today. Okay, so who's next? Fiona.
Hi everybody, my name is Fiona Dillon. I'm one of the midwifery lecturers. I'm a clinical teaching specialist clinical. So I work at Women's and Children's Hospital and also here. My kind of specialty is a few things clinically. I actually like maternal fetal medicine, and I like high dependency care of pregnant women. But you'll find me in Women's Assessment Service 3 days a fortnight when I'm not here. And I'll be taking you for your first clinical topic, 1013. So we'll definitely be seeing each other quite a bit. I think that's it. Thanks.
Getting old and decrepit. My name is Liz McNeil. I'm going to be seeing all of you next week for 1011, the kind of introductory topic, and for the direct entry for the 1012 next week as well. So I'm not clinical anymore, but I do a lot of theory topics with a passion for mental health and perinatal mental health. And I'm also a student, so a PhD student, so I get the pressures, especially considering one of my supervisors is sitting in the room as well. So I understand what it's like juggling everything as well. But you're going to have a cool time, but just come and, if things get on top of you, let us know. We can help you early, and there's support services in the university to help you as well. So I look forward to seeing you all next week.
So, hello everyone, my name is Waltraud Haberberger. Sounds German, is German. If you struggle with the Waltraud, I've got a second one, which is Maria. So which either one works fine, use it. And I'm the odd one out, so I'm actually not a midwife, I'm a medical scientist. And I'll take you for the science topics in first year. So starting next week with the 1014 topic, and then also the 1018 topic for the distance ed students. And with the distance ed, I said it in my announcement, which I hope you've seen, so we can arrange a time and day that hopefully fits into your busy schedules. Wednesday and Mondays are the flexible ones, but I'll talk to you about this on Monday during your intensive day. Okay, and
Hello everyone, I'm Megan Cooper. I'm actually new to Flinders. I've been at University of South Australia for 12 years prior to this, and last year was working at the Australian College of Midwives as the National Midwifery Advisor. So yes, I am teaching a range of different things, so hopefully see you in the second semester for maternal and infant assessment. 1017. My background is I've been a clinician, but mostly now focusing on research and working closely with Annette out at Lyell McEwen and trying to wrangle up some research opportunities. So yeah, I'm also now the branch chair of the Australian College of Midwives. So I've got some information to give you. So we've got a stall down in the cafe today, and if you sign up today, you actually go in the running to win a free membership, and there's some other cool things. Oh, did you want me to talk about that now, Meg?
Oh, well, I thought you could just plug it while you're here.
Yeah. So, just subtly. I don't think it's subtle because I'm going to send around some membership forms. But yeah. So today we're giving. So if you sign up today, so it works out to you can pay by the month. So it's $80 a year. So it works out about $7 a month. And you go into the draw to win a free membership today. If you sign up, you also can go down to the stall, and if you show your membership form to Ruth King, who's the other midwifery advisor for the education unit, she will actually give you some free stuff. And we all know we like free stuff. So the other thing is when you're a member, you can also put in an application for a few scholarships, and one of them that is really important because when you're a student you're poor and you need money, is that Hester gifted us $1,000 per state and territory, and so if you put an application, it can be used for anything: textbooks, tuition fees, anything that is related to your studies. So it's worthwhile being a member, pay $7 a month to get $1,000 in return. So have a think about that. If you have any questions at all at any time, feel free to come and see me. My door's always open, and I'd really love to see some of you engage in ACM. We're trying to start another student committee, so if you're interested in being part of what's happening into the future, some cool things happening at the moment. I'd love to see you and have a chat to you. That's me.
So yeah, I've just popped those membership forms on the table over there if you feel like grabbing one. So that's all from the team. Do you have any questions of the team before they go? So there's a couple that are going to hang around, but does anyone have any particular questions? No, it's just nice to see all the faces of the people that are going to be teaching you, and hopefully they've inspired you a little bit. That's sort of the plan too. Yeah. Well, but we do more than just be a lecturer, I guess. Okay, all right. So yes, thank you very much for those who've come, and you can go. And
you get a face to put to the names of the recordings if you're listening.
Yeah.
Next week, have a good week.
Yeah. Okay. So before we sort of get to the more formal part of the program, just a quick bit of housekeeping, because people always want to know obviously where the toilets are. So this third level is a bit weird because there is a toilet just around here, but it's just one. So that's not going to do much for today, especially we've got nursing in that room over there, nursing students. So if you go down the stairwell one level and then turn left around the corner, there's a very big ladies' toilet there. So that should get you by. There's also the Sturt Cafe. So that, we've actually got a cafe in the courtyard. There's actually toilets in there as well, so you have to just go along to the end. Exits. So there's plenty of exits around this part actually. So again, it's about looking for the running man and working out where all the exits are. But there's lots of ways out of here. And food, we just talked about the cafe, and phones is just a reminder for anyone that hasn't put their phone on silent or anything like that yet. As Kate and Fiona check their phones as well. Okay, and because we'll always have to be aware of there could be an emergency or an evacuation during today, it's just to remember that you'll be guided by us for this today until you sort of become a bit more accustomed to the evacuation procedures. But basically, there's just some instructions there for you about unnecessary travel and just go to the exits, and then remembering that you can get out of a door that's shut because you just need to press the release button. So you're not going to be locked in anywhere. And the other thing is that if we have to evacuate the building, we'll show you where to go anyway. So all good, because you're with us for the whole day. Any questions there? No? Okay. Okay, so today, just a bit of a look at what we're doing. So we've done our welcome, and now we're going to be talking about just introducing the course to you. And because Mariam's away today, Kate is going to do that. And then we've got our enrolment and course advisor coming to visit us. So she'll be here around about that time, or maybe earlier. No? And then we're going to do a little sort of session where you can sort of break out into some groups and get to know each other. And then I'll just talk about my role. Then we'll have an hour's break. Now, that's because we've got a whole lot of activities going on today. So down in the courtyard, which is down on the, now is it first or ground? What do you call it?
Call it ground.
Ground?
It's on the ground.
Yeah, on the ground. On the ground is a courtyard. Because how the buildings work, this is north, and then we have a west, and then we have a south. And so that in the middle of that sort of square, because there's an east that's sort of a bit separate, but in that square is the courtyard. And so there'll be free food, there'll be uniform, go try and uniform and stuff like that. There will be stalls, and the ACM stall that Megan was talking about as well. So you actually get to meet, and talk to ACM people if you want to as well. So, the idea is to mingle, get to know each other, and have a bit of social time at lunchtime. Then come back here about 5 to 1, and then Jenny Barrett, who's going to be very important to you over the next 3 years, she's going to be talking to you about placements. And then at 1:30 to finish off, Kate will talk more about her role with placement and this thing called COAS, which is Continuity of Care Experience, which is also going to be something that you know really well by the end of the 3 years. All right, so does that look okay? Yep. All right, so just a very quick before Kate starts, I just wanted to just show you a couple of slides just to get you into sort of feeling about things you don't know about. So there's this orientation presentation which is about 3 steps, and step 1 is to get your essentials sorted when you first start. So the first thing is that you need to have your ID card. For those who haven't sort of sussed that out at this point, you will need it for all sorts of things. And you can actually, when you get into your Flinders Octa, that will be where you can order your card. So if you just want to explore that, that's the first one. And then the next one is about enrolling in your topics. And of course, we're going to have Alex here today anyway to help you sort that. But this is just a reminder that it's a good idea to have as much as possible sorted out your semester 1 topics and to make sure you've got your timetable sorted. But there is a number there that you can call if you need any further support after today. So there's if you've already registered, there's a list to tick your name off, but if you haven't registered, there's a COVID check-in. So for anyone else I think there was someone else that came? Yeah. Thanks. And chairs. Yeah, do you want to put them? What?
There's two here.
Okay.
I don't think Kerry doesn't want me to.
All right, got it. Good. Okay, textbooks. I've actually got some textbook lists for you, so I'm going to put them out on the table, and when it's the break, you can grab. So there's a separate one for pre-registration students and a separate one for RN entry students, because obviously RN entry students don't have to do all the same all the topics. And even though that website does actually list some books on there of what you might need for certain topics, I've noticed that not all the topics are on that list. So what this list does is it gives you a just an idea of one main book that the topic coordinator has picked out that might be useful if you were thinking about buying a book. Because I know it's hard because you don't want to buy all the books, and books are really expensive, and there's also books already in the library. And a lot of books now are going to e-books as well. So it's really easy to borrow an e-book because, literally you just get access to it straight away. But the problem with e-books sometimes is if a student borrows an e-book, it means that another student can't borrow it at the same time. And there's some licenses are that they can only have one e-book in the library. So what you've got to keep in mind as a student is actually it's better to just look at the e-book and download the chapter you want rather than actually borrow the book, because that means that all the other students can access the book as well. So that's just a good rule of thumb to keep in mind. All right, so car parking, just in case you weren't aware, this week it's free parking. But from now on, when you come next week, you'll have to actually purchase a casual or long-term parking permit for the year. All right. So, and you can access that via your Octa as well. Okay. And loop buses is the last one, I think. Just to let everyone know that getting around the campus, so because there's also the main campus, which is probably only about a 10-minute walk, But sometimes if you're tired or it's hot or it's raining and you've got heavy books, it's good to know that there's a loop bus that goes around as well. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to navigate your way around. And that's just information about scholarships. There's actually a scholarship website there if you need it. If anyone needs Wi-Fi, the network is Eduroam. And then but you need to know your fan. So you need to actually put your fan in as your username and use your uni password. All right. Any questions about those slides that I've just put up? Catch it all? Excellent. No. Alex? Oh no, I was going to get the student to. I was going to give your chair to Alex. So Alex can sit there. Are you a student? Yeah. And I'll get you to go and sit at that chair over there. Have you signed in? Yes, excellent. Thanks for that. Alex, you can sit there in that chair. Or you can have that chair. Yeah. It's all right. There's a chair just here, but you've just got to sign in first. So if you've registered, you tick your name off. If you haven't, you've got to sign your name in on that blue sheet. Okay, we're getting organised, but now we're all ready for the important talk, which is from Kate. You do have to because it's recording. And that's annoying, isn't it?
Perfect, welcome. So this is meant to be Mariam, the course coordinator, telling you this one, so apologies because I'm going to be reading from the screen because it's her slide. So what is midwifery? So the midwife is the most appropriate and cost-effective type of healthcare provider to be assigned the care of normal pregnancy and normal birth, including risk assessment and the recognition of complications. So, you know, having more midwives out in the world means we're going to have better care for our women. So, you know, we're really excited to see this room full. What do? Midwives work in partnership with women and give the necessary support, care and advice during pregnancy, labour and the best postpartum and the postpartum period. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Is that you or me?
I don't know what I did, but I was leaning on the thing and I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I thought it
Is
was
that what
me.
you're up to?
Perfect. Our facilities. Do you need to click on that, or can I do that with this thing?
Oh, what happened there?
I don't know.
Oh, is that what you're up to?
Yeah.
What?
Is this the video?
Oh, yeah, video. Yes, sorry.
Okay, so there's a short video if you didn't watch, which is just come out and just shows you some of our facilities that we have here at Flinders.
Who's seen this video? Anyone?
Flinders University are leaders in health and in care, and we are focused on the growth and development of our nursing and midwifery programs, both at an undergraduate and a postgraduate level.
Nursing and midwifery are both very long-standing professions. Indeed, midwifery is the second oldest profession in the world, and it's always been based around the intrinsic values of care and compassion.
We offer a variety of learning experiences through multimodal education. In terms of nursing and midwifery theory, this is offered in the classroom and online, and we also offer a chance to practice and consolidate nursing skills through placements and labs.
The midwifery course at Flinders is very student focused. It happens in two areas, at the university, in the classroom and the simulation laboratories, but also a really important part is in placement. And student midwives are placed within the public and private sectors in a variety of venues. This means that they can have a real opportunity in the safety of being a student to be supervised in their clinical practice.
We have state-of-the-art labs, and some of the benefits include our high-fidelity mannequins, which are mimicking patients, so it gives students a chance to practice their skills and their patient care in a safe way. We also have simulated hospital environments, so we're mimicking a ward environment that students would experience on placement and as a registered nurse in their practice. Another interesting experience that we offer is called Hololens. It's a mixed reality experience, so students are given the chance to put on a headset and then they can witness high-level patient experiences that they wouldn't necessarily get the chance to be involved in on placement. So, for example, a cardiac arrest situation or nursing care that's offered to a burns patient. One of the other benefits of studying at Flinders is an innovative teaching technique called Mask Ed, in which we can mimic a real-life patient situation. The educator actually puts on a silicone mask to become a patient character and then can help direct the scenario and guide the students' learning. The educator can then take off that mask and debrief the students on what went well, what didn't go so well, and what they can work on next time. We have a really large team of educators. They come from all sorts of different clinical backgrounds. So we have nurses from the emergency department, the operating room, the intensive care unit, the Royal Flying Doctors, the Defence Force, aged care and paediatrics, just to name a few. Our nursing team have a lot of experience working in the field, and this is really great in helping prepare our students from that really important transition from student nurse to graduate registered nurse. We have a wonderful welcoming culture at Flinders University where we really focus on student development, and we have skills that are really important in life that are embedded in every subject that we offer. The student experience is our central value, as are many of the values that we demonstrate through our teaching. So these include autonomy in practice, integrity, honesty, and maintaining human dignity.
Perfect. So has anybody watched that before? Seen that one? That's just new come out. So you guys will be spending a lot of time in the labs, especially second year, and that's where you'll hang out with me mostly. So there are a couple of pathways for the Bachelor of Midwifery. So there's the undergraduate or the pre-registration, which is a 3-year course, and then there's the RN entry, which is a 2-year course. And we've got Alex here somewhere who's going to, over here, this is Alex, so you get to know Alex because everybody goes to Alex and asks about study plans, and enrolments and all that, so that's Alex. So the course overview, midwifery, we touch on primary health care, nutrition, psychology, mental health, research. We've got a great topic, Aboriginal health and cultural safety. We do population health, clinical science, anatomy and phys, law and mid-school. So, the course covers a broad range of areas. This is just an example of one of the study guides, which you all probably should have. One of these, it's either a full-time, part-time or 3/4 time study plan, and that's where Alex comes in, and Mariam, who's not here today. So all enrolment and class registration inquiries, there's your phone, the telephone number there for any questions. You can also do a face-to-face and work that out. And again, that's probably over here with Alex. She's probably got sore ears from talking on the phone. And here we go, Alex again. So
this is Alex's slide.
Yeah, this is your slide. So I'm going to hand over to Alex because...
Yeah. But has anyone got any questions of course coordination?
Sure. Anyone got any questions for course coordination?
So it's
probably good that you haven't, because Mariam is the course coordinator and she can answer that. But I'll hand over to Alex.
Hello, so my name's Alex. I'm the Enrolment and Course Advisor for the college. So I'm located downstairs in the college office. So if you ever have any questions, you can pop in or send me an email, give me a call. I'm really here to help you sort of progress throughout your course. So any questions along the way, anything about credit, part-time, full-time study plans, you can contact me if you fail a topic or something happened along the way. Get in contact with me. So any questions you've got, feel free to contact me. Email, phone, Ask Flinders if you're familiar with that. So that's on your Opta homepage where you access flow and everything else. So you can submit a request through that or pop into the office. So yeah, has anyone got any questions? You you can also send me an email if you've got questions after today. I've left a few study plans there, so full-time and part-time and 3/4. So if you want to take a copy, more than welcome.
So they're different. So what one's that one?
There's a mix of all, so part-time,
That's full-time.
full-time, and then registered and
Post-registration.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. Anyone else on that? Or part-time post-registration?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, anyone got any questions about Alex while she's here? Because, you know, some of you might have some burning questions about, like, your sort of what topics you might need to do in first year, second year, stuff like that. Certain sort of thing that you're not sure about with your topics. I've got to repeat the question just so you know, for the recording.
I'm just starting off part-time,
Yep.
and I followed the half-time study guide when I was doing the enrolment and registration classes, so just think I'm enrolled in everything I need to be.
Yeah.
Is there an option to then change that later on if my circumstances change?
Definitely. So there is an option if you want to go back full-time or swap it out and go 3/4 or something different. We can definitely help you with that. So you do need to look at the prerequisites, I guess, for your topic. So you're going to make sure that the topics you want to complete the following semester, you've completed the requirements for that. So that's the main thing that we'll look at.
So maybe you could sort of show an example of that prerequisites, like
Oh, what's the point?
where you want to point to.
Sure, I don't know if I'm being too good at this.
Yeah.
There's a good example here. I think in terms of going part-time to full-time is the biggest challenge, I think, because it will be hard to go straight into a full-time study load with the prerequisites. But that's something we can help, and I guess everyone's different along the way, and there's no sort of one standard approach because it depends what topics you've completed. And as well, some students don't want to do, say, placement in a year due to the workload with that as well, and depending on everything else you've got going on. So it might mean you do 2 theory topics, and then the following year you're doing your 2 placement topics, which is the 2 in the second year. But yeah, you can contact me and we can go through that and work that out. Yeah. Cool. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, now because you've been very quiet, we're going to break you up into some groups, and I'll get my helpers to hand out some post-it notes. And what you're going to do, I'll put the slide up. Okay, so only about 3 to 5 people in a group. And together in your group, just talk about what you'd like to find out more about from today, and then pick one burning question to write on your post-it note that your whole group would like answered, and then we'll collect post-it notes. All right, so you can move your chairs like a little bit so that you're more in sort of like a circle, or turn around and face the people behind you. Just obviously because of COVID, we have to be careful not to cuddle too much, but see how you go. And use the opportunity to introduce yourself to each other as well. All right, so see, now that you've got to know each other a little bit more, you want to keep talking, which is good. So what I'll do is I think we'll just do it in sort of a systematic way rather than just sort of put the hand up so that we get don't miss someone. So we might start at the back, so the very left-hand back corner. So if you want to, maybe the student that's going to say why they enrolled in midwifery, we'll do that first, and then we'll do your question. Actually, we've got a spare mic over there, so that. Well, if you want to be the rover, Kate. So here you go. Just turn that on, and then that one. Beautiful.
Right.
Hello. So we all kind of agree we want to be in midwifery because we really want to help, bring new people into the world and just, yeah.
Hello.
for our question, we said, what are the first year placement expectations, duties, and like time commitments that are expected of us?
Great question. Okay, so in 101.3, you have just a 5-day placement, and that's antenatal. So usually it's a 9 to 5 antenatal type clinic for 5 days. In 101.7, your second semester topic, it's a 2-week placement. And placements aren't just the metro area venues. They can be remote. So you can go to Port Lincoln, you can go to Whyalla, you can go to Ceduna, etc. So it's not just at Women's and Children's, Larmac and Flinders, yeah? And also private hospitals too. Does that answer that question?
Hands up.
So many hands up. Yep. No. No. Correct. Yeah.
Sorry. Is there special considerations for the rural placements and things like that?
Like what?
Like a very newborn baby and 3 other toddlers?
I'd like to say yes, there is. Yeah. But as the degree has grown, we've got limited placements availabilities. So we will say everyone will do a remote placement at least once. So if you've just had a newborn baby, we'll take that into consideration. But if you've got toddlers... Yeah, correct. Correct.
And so a lot of you probably have toddlers, so you can't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, it's kind of like you signed up with toddler knowing you had children. Like that wasn't a surprise. Well, it shouldn't have been a surprise. So, you know, so, and the course is actually very structured. Sorry, I should come out the front. It's very structured, and you have to get set number of hours and set number of selected placement venues. As in whether it's postnatal, antenatal, all of that type of stuff. So you actually have to reach those to register.
How far in advance do we get told where our placement will be? Like how much notice will we get to prepare if we have kids at home?
So that all depends on you. So if you are compliant, like now, you'll get your 6 weeks in advance. You will get your roster. If you're one of those naughty students who are not compliant, you'll either miss out on placement altogether and you'll have to withdraw from the topic, or you'll get your roster late. So it all depends on you guys. So hint here is get compliant early. First placement, should have had that document with me.
I'll find out for you.
Kind of May, I feel it's May, June.
Yeah.
Yeah, that time, and it's just for 5 days.
And just, it is a mix of late earlies and day shift.
Yeah.
First placement.
Yeah, so the first placement is in May, June time, and it's a rotating roster, late, earlies. It's not night duty for the first one yet. It could be this year. Actually, I'm going to cancel that. Late, early and nights, let's just put it out there.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Sorry, just with placement, I won't be doing any placement topic till next year because it's part-time. Do I need to do all that pre-placement compliance stuff now, or will it just need to be done prior to starting next year?
So everybody should have access or already seen their compliance list. So there's a lot of things on there that last 3 years, 5 years. Get all those done. Hospital orientation. Public venues, orientation lasts for 3 years, so if you get it done, you're covered. Private venues only last for 12 months, so you have to, it's up to you guys to know when that runs out and get re-compliant. So the simple rule is get everything done now, and then you just have to replace them as they expire.
So you said we find out 6 weeks in advance where our placement is. Do we find out when it is before that? Or like, do we find out when and where?
Oh, as in when your placement will occur?
Yeah.
Yeah. So each year we have a timetable that comes out, and you have locked in placement weeks. So we share the placement blocks with UniSA, midwifery students. So they have 6 weeks, we have 6 weeks. They have 6 weeks, we have 6 weeks. So it's on a rotating thing. Yeah. No worries.
I know that some people have said that there is orientation days for each hospital. Is it a good idea to go along and do the orientation days for as many hospitals as you can, just in case, or do we wait to find out where our placement is?
No. get orientated for anything that has an orientation date attached to it. The trickiness...
Especially if we have COVID.
Yes, that's right. The trickiness with orientation, I'll get into COAS, what all that means in a minute, but if you're following a woman through her pregnancy and say she's low risk at Mount Barker and she's birthing there and she gets develops into a complication and she has to be transferred to Women's and Children's, if you're not orientated at Women's, you can't attend.
So look up the dates and go down. Yep.
Yeah. Take home message, get orientated.
Yep. Do it early.
Do your compliance now.
Okay, so we might go to the next group because we will be talking, Kate will be talking more about COAS and placements towards the end of the day as well, so she can verify some of that stuff. So the next group along. Kate Rover, do you want to take your microphone at the back? So, at the back, yep. So first of all, we're going to hear why you enrolled in midwifery. So if everyone could just be quiet, that'd be great, thank you.
Well, I personally enrolled in midwifery. I always had a draw to pregnant women and hearing their stories, and especially when I was younger, I was always very interested. And then in Year 8, I learnt what a midwife was, and ever since then, that's what I've always wanted to do. So, yeah.
And maybe just say your name as well.
Chloe.
Chloe. Hi, Chloe.
And our question is, when will we need to wear our Flinders uniform?
So, back to me. Any lab session, you need to wear your full Flinders uniform, okay? And we will discuss that in our next session about what that actually is. And any COAS, or follow-through woman, and any placement, is full uniform.
We'll go to the next group along.
Gotta get my steps up today.
I'm Melinda, and personally I chose midwifery as part of a much bigger plan to be a RFDS flight nurse. So I've already done my nursing, so I'm a RN entry. And also when I had my first child 21 years ago, my midwife was amazing and it inspired me to want to take that as my career path, but I did the nursing bit first. So, but I loved it.
I think our questions have been asked mostly, but on like a Wednesday, most of us have only like one class for an hour. Is that like normal, or are we meant to have more?
What, do you know what topic that is?
1-3.
What is it?
1013.
Oh, so that's actually a lecture, but I'll let Fiona talk to that.
So if you do look at the timetable, you'll see the first week is a 1 hour session, and that's just topic information. So we'll be talking about the assessments, about the expectation, that will be with me. Then it will move to a lecture, which is science-based with Waltrid on a Monday. That's an hour lecture, and that's going to be a hybrid delivery. And then you come in on a Wednesday for your clinical session or your lab session with me or Kate or another lecturer that we're also teaching. So we'll be teaching that same session 5 times on Wednesday to get you all through, and you would have already enrolled into a stream. Is everyone enrolled into a stream? Yep, if you're not enrolled, you're coming to the last one because it's others are all full.
So you want them to come to that 1 hour lecture?
Yeah, so everyone is coming. I think it's an online lecture, an online information topic session next Wednesday, and then we move into lecture on a Monday, lab session on a Wednesday. Is that clear?
All good? Excellent. Okay, well, let's go to the next group along the back.
So our question is
You can't get away with why you enrolled in midwifery first.
Oh no.
So we're in midwifery, well, us two personally are in midwifery for our personal experiences having children, and the midwives we had were fantastic and it made us want to do it. And the other two love babies. They just want to be around babies all the time. And that's pretty much why.
Thanks.
And our question is the 1014 lecture on a Friday going to be online? or in class?
Yeah, Waltra's not here, but Waltra does all of her classes hybrid, which means that she will run a class face-to-face, but at the same time she'll have it running on the online platform so that students can come in online, but your interaction won't be as the same because she has to sort of check for questions. She won't be able to interact with you like 100%, but you'll be able to hear what's going on and be involved. Does that make sense?
Just because on Monday, whoever was running the O week, like filming on the phone, said that all lectures were online still.
Really?
So Walter will go through that with you when she does her topic information.
And we certainly don't have all of our lectures online because we are a face-to-face internal course, and it's only for external students like RN entries that most of theirs is online. But if you're an internal student, yeah. So we're mostly face-to-face, and we'll always tell you if there's going to be online components in the topic.
Okay, my name's Leah. I grew up with my mum being a midwife for 40 years, and I've always had an interest in that field, and I've got 4 children and am interested in women's health. So that's why I chose to be a midwife.
Okay. We would like to find out more today about, will we be getting a tour? Because we're quite nervous about getting lost on campus.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of information about O Week itself on the website. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to have a look. And there's definitely tours, but you have to.
In that 1 hour, there'll be
yes,
tours.
you have to. Do you have to book in, or do you just?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
So if you need, you can come down to the college office and we can help you. And there's also an app, Lost on Campus.
Oh, there you go. An app, Lost on Campus. That's good. I'll just repeat that. So there's an app, Lost on Campus, and there's always the college office, which is on the ground floor, which is quite easy to see, and you can always pop in there if you get, need help as well. Yep.
Cool. We also were wondering about COCE, how we, yes.
You can call it COAS.
Yep.
COAS.
How we go about finding births to follow.
So that's probably a big question that we'll unpack later on. But there is a Call the Midwifery student brochure that you can either get from the office downstairs or it is available online. And that you can hand to women and have your details on it, and you can recruit that way. There's also, you can email me and I can put you on a list for when people register. I can just one by one hand them out, but obviously that doesn't happen quickly. And we'll unpack it more later on because I know we are on a time schedule.
We actually have lots of information about recruitment because obviously it's a really big thing for you guys. So that's a thread woven through the whole 3 years. But now we'll go to the next one along in the second row. In the second row, yep. So the middle table where Eliza's sitting. Where Eliza's sitting, is it? Or is there a group? Oh, you're going there, but I still want to go that way. Yep. All right, cool.
I'm Maisie and I wanted to do midwifery because in Health I watched a documentary about birth and pregnancy and it made me really emotional, and I wanted to be an advocate for women and help them through that journey ever since.
Hi, I'm Amila, and our questions have pretty much been answered, but we talked about uniforms and when they're required and where to get them, what happens if they're not on time.
That's actually a question. So you'll find out more information obviously in that 1 hour break about uniforms, but also if they weren't ready on time, then we usually just ask you to wear like a polo top, like a white polo top, and the proper everything else, like which Kate will go through anyway, like your proper dark pants and the right shoes and everything, but just a white polo top until you get your uniform.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, like it doesn't have to be the ones that you order through the uniform shop, but as long as they're, you know, they're neat and they conform, and you probably need pockets,
And then they need to be full length, not 3/4.
and full length pants. Yeah, so proper sort of work pants. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And they can be navy or black.
Yeah, navy or black, but navy doesn't always go with purple. So.
Okay. So the question that we came up with was when...
Yes. It's your inspiration. We'll do that first.
Yeah, so we have like a group one. So we're all really interested in continuity of care, providing like holistic care as well. What were the other ones? I've forgotten. Mental health, postpartum mental health specifically. Yeah, and women-centered care too. Yeah. Yeah. And the question we had was, when do we have to complete the compliance list, dates, etc.? But I think you guys have covered that.
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're done. So
yeah, the sooner the better.
Constantly hounding you.
Hello, I'm Tali. We all kind of put in our 2 cents as to why we wanted to be a midwife. So Sheila is a mother of 2 children and loves babies and wants to help women and their partner to ensure everything goes as smoothly as possible in the most important part of their life. This is Sheila. I'm Tali. So my midwife had a huge impact on my birthing experience. I've always loved babies, and after having my own 3, I decided that midwifery was for me. And this is Jodie, and this is Jodie's midwife crisis. After working in a corporate environment for many years, she desired to work with and help people as her empathetic nature was being wasted where she was. And our question
is it realistic to balance full-time study with family, kids and part-time work?
I think the answer to that one is the midwifery degree, whether you're doing it over the 2 years or the 3 years, or part-time, or 6 years, or whatever. You've got to remember you're pretty much on call for that entire length, because you have these COAS women that you're following through who can go into labour at any time. You've got appointments you've got to go to. You're working 24/7 literally on placements, you know, over a rotating roster. So you can do it. You have to be very organised, and it is a lot of work. A lot of people, you know, who have come out of the nursing degree come into me and go, okay, we've got this, and they go, oh my gosh, it's a lot of out of hours work. We start non-semester as well, so we don't have that amazing 4-month break. You know, we go all the way through. So in second year, you know, you don't finish your placement until like the 19th of December, you know, and then you start again early January.
Third year's now starting earlier than we used to, so because we've got more students, we need more placements, so we need more time.
Yeah, so yes, it is possible to do it, but you need to be super organised and be aware that you're on call for 2 years, 3 years, 6 years.
Got a question over here?
I work in a supervisor role only 2 nights a week. If we're on call, how do we go about balancing our role? You know, I'm the only one in the shop. What do I do?
Alex?
No, I was just going to say that probably with COAS, what happens is, because you don't have to go to every single birth, but you have to go to 50% of your births. So it just means that that's your decision. If your woman calls you and says, I'm in labour, and you can't come, well, that's actually all right. But, you know, that's about you already developing that rapport with a woman and saying, I'm just letting you know that there is a possibility that if you go into labour on these 2 nights, I won't be able to come. So, yeah, that's right.
Close your legs.
You're obviously going to have some commitments where you can't, and that's why there's that 50% rule, because a lot of things, you know, get in the way sometimes of getting to a birth. So, especially if you have intentions of going and then she has the baby in the car or something. So, yes, you can see how there's a lot of grey there. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah. Could I go after work sort of thing? Like, you know, it's only 5 hours shift and I could go...
Yep.
Yeah.
So you've just got to make sure that you don't go to placement tired and run down. So in between shifts, so if you have done, just say you're on placement, you do an early, and then your lady goes into labour, you can't go straight from your early. You're meant to have at least 6 hours break in between shifts, yeah? And that's to protect you guys, duty of care, so you're not, you know, working tired, yeah? So we remain safe in our care. So whenever you present, you have on placement, your placement hours is 8 hours is a shift, 10 hours is a night shift. You can stay up to 12 hours, yeah, but you can't stay any longer than 12 hours, if that makes sense.
Can I just ask on that, if we're out on placement and one of our COSI ladies goes into labour, do we have the authority to leave placement to attend that birth?
Great question. So the question was, if you're on placement and your lady goes into labour, your COS lady, the only reason you can leave placement is for a COS birth. You can't leave placement for an antenatal appointment or a postnatal appointment. It's just a birth, and it has to be verified with the birth documents. Yep. Right.
So go to the next group.
Who was the next group? Here. Who's that?
I can't have a follow-up question from that question. If you're late, how do you get notified that your COS lady's actually in birth? Like, what if it's their first baby and they think they're going into labour, but they might not actually be going into labour, and then obviously no baby, no birth documents, and you've missed your placement?
Yeah.
Do you wait till the hospital confirms that that lady is actually in labour, or do you just follow their lead?
So you've got another great question. So many great COS questions. So part of the relationship is you'll have an ongoing relationship. You meet them antenatally, you know, you can ask all of those questions. When they go into labour, if they think they're labour, they'll go to an assessment unit before they get taken to the labour ward. You know, so it's at that time you stay in communication. You know, they will usually do some sort of baseline vaginal examination to see if how many centimetres dilated she is. So it's up to you to keep that communication going. And then you can ring the venue and ask to speak to the midwife of the woman and say, you know, I'm the followed through student. When should I come in? Yep. But tell us why you're doing this. That's you.
So I guess I'm kind of like Jodie. I have a corporate background. I've been an accountant for 15 years. That's getting a bit boring. I've got 2 kids and I just really fell in love with the whole profession, and as a group we sort of have experience through a number of ways, either by friends and family, good midwives and bad midwives, and we're all sort of, you know, we want to be good midwives, we want to vouch for the women and help support them no matter what their journey is, and improve their experience rather than be a detriment to their experience. So, yeah.
Alright, my name's Annalise and our question is, can we see the skills labs and lectures today sometime?
Is that part of the tour?
Is that part of the tour?
I'd say it will be on your tour.
I think you'll go there because you have to know where it is anyway.
Yeah.
So you will. I don't know if you will actually be able to get like right into a room, because it depends on how many are on the tour. You know. So yeah, I reckon you'll go there for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Hello, my name is Stacey. I guess the reason why I want to be a midwife is I have always wanted to be a midwife. I can't remember a time that I haven't wanted to be a midwife. And then I had 4 kids of my own and life got busy and they were growing up, and I just kind of thought that that would never be me. And then I'd bawl every time I watched One Born Every Minute and like, this is what I want to do. And so then I thought, you know what, you're never too old. Just get in there and do it. Yeah, so that's me.
I'm Grace, and our question is, what's the difference between the practicals and workshop, and do we need to wear uniform for both?
So a practical and a workshop. Oh, that's a bit of a tricky one. So a workshop generally implies that you probably do some lab work anyway, but a practical is literally the whole sessions in the lab. So it depends on how long the workshop goes for, because if it's scheduled for only 3 hours, then it's most likely you're going to be most of that in the lab, but there could be like start off in a classroom. So it depends on where it's timetabled as well, because on the timetable it'll tell you obviously what room you have to go to, and if it's E304, anything with an E is the simulation lab. So then you know that that's the laboratory. So often you'll be told, like, if there's a bit of confusion about whether you need to wear a uniform or not, and you're very welcome to always email the topic coordinator of the topic if you want to have any questions about things like that, like about if I need to wear my uniform. So an intensive is another different thing, and that's usually like a whole day, and it's usually a variety of stuff. So you might have a guest speaker, you might have a bit of tutorial in there, and you might have a bit of lab in there. So again, you'll be told like sort of what that day is going to look like, and whether you will be going to the laboratory, and if you need to wear a uniform and stuff like that. Yes, Charlie?
When you say intensive, that's like next week, Monday?
Yes, so Monday for 1011 is called an intensive, but if you notice it's only short, it's only like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So you won't be going to, because 1011 is not a topic that you do any clinical skills in, it's a theory topic. 1013 is your clinical topic. So anything with 1013 implies clinical, I probably need to wear my uniform, and 1011 is all theory and you won't need to wear your uniform.
So the first one would be the 17th of March.
1013, 17th of March, that's when you've got to wear your uniform for that one. Which one?
Just 103.
Just 1013, that's the only, so you only usually have one clinical topic per semester where all your clinical stuff's done.
The 1014, isn't that in the lab after the lecture?
1014 is a bit different. And
then the lab.
Yeah, that's might be the wet labs, which is different. That's
that's anatomy.
Because that's anatomy and physiology.
There's not. You don't. Sorry. It's not expected that you'd wear your uniform for that. It's mostly theory, but there may be some like demonstration of.
Have to cut something up.
Yeah. Walshwood loves cutting things up, so you might see some anatomy things, but you won't be doing clinical skills, midwifery skills, so you don't have to wear. Yeah, or you might just watch it get cut up. I don't know. Just watch it.
Walshwood's not here to answer those questions. She's the medical scientist, so she does those sort of the A&P stuff. Yeah. All right. So, are we ready to move to the next group? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nikki, and I'm a little bit like Stacey. I have wanted to be a midwife since I don't know when. I used to cry watching Call the Midwife and cry during One Born Every Minute.
Call the Midwife's my favourite show, by the way.
It's so good. I sadly experienced a miscarriage just before I fell pregnant with my now 3-year-old. And I just feel that whole process of going through miscarriage and all that entailed, and then falling pregnant again shortly after a miscarriage, and that whole experience that I had with the midwives at Ashford just reignited that whole passion. And I argued with myself, you're late 30s, like, don't be daft. Like, and then somebody said to me, if you don't do it now, you're going to look back in 30 years and wonder why you didn't do it. So I thought, well, let's just go for it. So I just feel that what I've been through, both negative and positive, I can use that to help other women and empower other women through those experiences, because let's face it, they're not all going to be happy endings. So I just feel like I can help with that. And I'm going to pass over for a question.
I didn't want to be talking into my finger. Can we find women to follow for course before we do placement topics? Because I know some of us are doing placement topics next year.
So to be covered by insurance, okay, because that's another big thing with midwifery and unis, you have to be enrolled in a clinical topic to recruit COAS. You guys are in 1013. You can start recruiting COAS at the end of 1013 because you need to have some knowledge before you recruit women. So, yeah. So enrolled in a clinical topic, 1013, the end of 1013 you can start recruiting, and you must be compliant. All compliant word again.
So
That's C word.
Nothing till next semester then,
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
recruiting
The end-
takes a bit of time. So,
Yeah.
but we don't want you to just like now. We're going to go right. I'm ready to recruit, but we haven't actually taught you stuff about how to recruit yet, or you haven't done sort of communication, which is in 1013
and what you do with the course when you've got one and all of that type of stuff. So kind of the end of semester 1, if you're yep.
So the pregnant people that we follow second semester this year, will that be fine then for their pregnancy and birth to go into next year?
Correct. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. So COSE again we'll unpack a little bit later on, but you have to have it's a minimum of 5 COSE a year that we'd like you to get. Because this year you only recruit halfway through the year. If you don't get your 5, that's fine. It just means next year you do 7 or 8 or whatever. But in your 3rd year, you must recruit 5. And that's because your development of skills, your knowledge and understanding will increase. So you will be able to do more with your COSE in 3rd year than you can with your COSE in 1st year, if that makes sense.
With part-time, obviously you can't do it till next year, but in those additional years that you have, can you do in the in-between years once you've already started?
Only if you're enrolled in a clinical topic.
Okay, so even though you've done like maybe the first clinical topic, if you've done it that year, you still have to be enrolled in the
Correct. That's insurance-wise.
Sorry? Yeah. Not sure if it depends on availability and stuff, but how many women at a time would you have on COSE? Because would you have more than one person that you're following at once, obviously?
Yeah. So it's a good idea when you're recruiting to try and get the due dates spread out a little bit. Yeah. So then you know it's realistic to do 5 a year. You know, so we don't want your 5 all to be birthed in January because your skills and your knowledge haven't developed because you haven't completed those courses. So they need to be spread out across the year. So you know, March, April, May, June, July, whatever it is. If that makes sense.
Can they be people that you know?
They can't be your friends, best friends, or family. Why do you think we say that? Correct. All right. So it's hard to step back and move back emotionally. Yeah. So no friends.
It's a little bit different, but if we have a compliance question or an issue, do we come to you?
No. No, because you're all going to be compliant, right? There'll be no issues. Jenny Barrett, who is coming up at some stage after the break. Yeah. So she's the one who will be on your case, and if you don't get compliant, I'm the one on your case. That's it?
So that 5 a year, is that the same for the post-reg, or is it like more because it's a shorter time?
So the 3-year degree, you have 15 courses you've got to follow through. The RN entry, which is the 2-year, it's only 10. Only 10. You've already got only 10.
Actually, hands up who is RN entry. It'd just be interesting to know who's here today from RN entry. 3, 4? No, put your hand up high so you can all see each other. Because you might like to meet each other as well. Turn around and look and see who's who. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Fabulous. So I was just going to mention one more thing. So, yeah, unless there's any more questions, of course, which there could be. So I can't emphasise enough, and I'm sure Alex is the same, because she's the one who alters study plans quite a lot, keeps her busy, to really to know that it's flexible. To sort of, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with your load and then think, what am I doing? Go, even if it's just for one semester, go part-time for one semester or something like that, because it is a really hard course to do. It's very heavy. It's very content heavy. It's got, obviously all your clinical placement, and then you've got your COSE as well. All of your study, if you're full-time, it's like working full-time. So you're expected to do that much study in a week. It's like a full-time job. All right, so just know what you're going into and really think about, each semester, and if you think you can cope with that full-time load. But Alex is always there if you want to have a chat and think about rearranging your topics. All right? Cool. Did you want to have any last minute stays? No? Kate? No, all good? Okay, so it's 11:30 and I'm just going to do a quick thing about student support and then we'll go on to our break. So, so just a bit more about what the Student Engagement Coordinator does. It used to be called Student Experience Coordinator last year, and that was a brand new role that the university brought in, and it's gone really well, so they've decided to keep it going, but they've changed the name because apparently we call them academic staff and professional staff, so like Alex is professional staff, and there is professional staff who are called Student Experience Coordinators apparently, so there was a bit of a mix-up. So we've changed our name but kept the same initials, SEC, and so each discipline in our college has a SEC, so that the students have a go-to person. So this is like, if you've got like a question about your topic and, you know, if you need an extension because something extenuating is going on, that you would always go through your topic coordinator for advice and for assistance, especially if it's to do with a late assignment and stuff like that. But if you find that you're a bit overwhelmed and even with that process if you're not quite sure where to go and you need some further advice or support, that's what my role's for. And then I've got sort of like links to resources and advice and stuff like that that I can point you to, or just even being able to have a chat to someone is helpful. So the other thing is that we have each discipline also has a student representative committee as well, so that you can, with first year there can be things going on that we don't know about, and if we don't have student reps to let us know, then we're not going to know what the issues are. So we invite probably 2 of you and 1 RN entry student to think about being a student rep for the year. So it may go to 2 years depending on student support. So for example, our student reps from last year, we had 2 or 3, because of part-time, we had 2 or 3 second years and a couple of first years, and they've all decided, the students were all happy to just keep them going for this year, so that we're having the same student reps as last year, but we need to have new recruitments for our first years. So there is probably going to be an official email inviting you to think about student representation. But in the meantime, because sometimes these things take time, and I might say there's going to be one and then it never comes, because that's a bit like, hierarchy and waiting for people to do their job. You know what I mean? Like in any organisation, sometimes things are slow. But if you think that you are really interested in it, please email me, because I'm the person that does the sort of like organising of the student rep meetings, and each meeting we have all the reps from each year level come along, and of course that's why we have 2 or 3, because you might not be able to make it, so we might just have at least one person from first year that can come. It's always good to have an RN entry rep as well, and by getting you from first year, it means that you can possibly continue on and be the rep sort of in second and third year as well, to continue through. And at our meetings, you'll meet with Kate, and you'll meet with Mariam, and you'll meet with myself, and we'll hear out. And so the idea is to sort of collect in some way from your cohort any issues. So this is sort of about, I guess, you guys working out how you want to keep in contact with each other as a cohort or as a group. Even though we hate to say it, students do use Facebook to set up groups. Sometimes that can be good, sometimes it can be a little bit, well, what word do I want to use? Challenging. Because, that sometimes that can create negative behaviour as well by having a Facebook group. But I guess it's a way of, you all being able to sort of say anything that's worrying you, and then the student rep taking that to the meeting. All right? Because that's the only way we know sometimes that there's things that we need to fix. And the student reps will tell you that you know, we always listen to what they say and we do make the changes, and we certainly are very quick to react to anything that needs to sort of be changed quickly to help the students. All right, so have a think about that, whether you think you'd like to do that role, and let me know. The other thing is mentorship. So, you know, some students make friends, some students already know some people and they, you know, can come to uni together and stuff like that. But if you're feeling like a bit of a lost soul and, or, you know, just feeling a bit isolated or still finding it hard to navigate your way around, I'm certainly happy to set up mentorship for you. We have a lot of second and third years that would love to be mentors. So, and you don't even have to be a lost soul to want to have a mentor, by the way. Like, you can just want one anyway, right? But if you decide you really would like a mentor, like one of the other students that are already here, please let me know and I can set that up for you. No problems. My email address is there. I think I need a drink. So, yeah, has anyone got any questions about the sec role? No? Good. Now, we've got some handouts here as well. So, I haven't printed one for everyone because not everyone's going to be interested. But if you do want to know more about the sec role, there's a flow chart here as well. There's a handout there, and Kate's going to talk later about her PEC role, which is Placement Experience Coordinator, and there's a handout there as well. So that's all I've got to say, I think. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to do this before we have a break as well, but I just need to have a drink of water. What's the time? Oh, just 5 minutes. Like this will take 5 minutes. And for those that are busting to go to the toilet, I promise that we will break in 5 minutes. Is that okay? Yeah. And then you don't have to be back here till 5 to 1 after that. So you've got plenty of time to go and check out all the stuff out downstairs in the courtyard, all right? So this is just some more of the orientation slides. So this was your question about campus tours. There you go. So they are every hour. So you'll be able to catch the 12 o'clock one. And that's all. But see, we finish at 2, right? So you can always try and catch the 2 o'clock one as well. So if we try and finish at 5 to 2, they can catch the 2 o'clock tour if they miss the 12 o'clock tour. Mm-hmm. Yeah? All right. So there's meet friendly staff and student ambassadors. Find out all about the Flinders office to support you through your time. So there's a place called the Student Hub in the Bedford Park campus, open from 10 till 3. And also the Sturt Precinct. So Bedford Town is up, like, in the main part. Sturt's this one, so in the courtyard. They'll be there from 10:30 to 2:30. And then the Flinders Medical Centre as well, but that's a bit far away. Finding your way, so there's, through Opta, you can search under Finding Your Way at Flinders. So that's an orientation topic. So that's pretty handy to know as well. And then there's, so see down the bottom, students.flinders.edu.au/support. That I would definitely bookmark that one, because that's got lots of information. It's even got lots of academic resources on there as well. So you would probably, I would imagine that you would visit this a fair bit. And the other thing that's probably not on there, which is we actually have a health, counselling and disability website as well. So we do have, for students, there's actually like a little consulting sort of area in the main campus where you can book in and actually have free counselling and free health appointments as well. So that website's worth looking up as well. I think it might come from, I think you might be able to link it from there, from that website. And then just showing you mentoring programs, there's actually a website there as well. Find and register for the mentoring program down the bottom, which is sort of a more of a whole uni thing. And I think that's all I have. I don't know much about this slide because it was on the orientation slide, but it's just there for your information so that you know that there is like backup and links if you feel like you've got any sort of cyber abuse going on, because obviously we have to address all those things being a big organisation. And we have a student equal opportunity advisor, so that's always good to know as well. And that's it. See, promised 5 minutes, done. See you when you come back. We'll probably see you down there because we might go and check it out too.
Will or PEP coordinator, which in terms means your placements. I'm sort of a bit of an artsy in the respect that I need your compliance before you can get your placements. So just today we're just going to briefly touch on these things, the pre-placement requirements. Most of you will have already received an email from me with the requirements for placement, COCEs and the birth logs. I'm not really going to touch on that because it's not really what I do. I will process them, but Kate and Lynn will give you more in-depth information. But I also do the rostering, obviously, and the placements. If you have any questions, could you just leave it until the end, write a little note and ask me at the end, because I won't be too long. Just want to let you know that it is your responsibility to be compliant, and it's your responsibility to be compliant throughout your placement. What generally happens is that I will give you your roster for the semester, and you may not be compliant for the whole time. I work in 6-week blocks, so I'll step back a little bit. UniSA and Flinders work very closely together with our rostering. We have 6 weeks each, and so we have 6 weeks each. I have 6 weeks, they have 6 weeks, and throughout the year. We answer to SA Health, and SA Health put deadlines onto us. We need to let the SA Health and the venues know what students are attending in what placements 6 weeks prior to the placement. Well, when I work in 6-week blocks, that means I have to place or give the information 12 weeks in advance. So I need to know that all students are compliant for the entirety of that placement. If you become uncompliant or incompliant after that time, it's your responsibility to go and get whatever is needed to ensure that you will continue your compliance. You've all been sent, well, I'm hoping if there's anyone that hasn't been sent a link, I will send it, and I'll actually put this presentation out to everyone, so you've all got the links. But that website has a huge amount of information. It's got your uniforms, it's got your venues, your venue orientations, everything that you should need for your placement. In place is our student placement system, and you need to log on and be familiar. Make sure all of your details are up to date, because I do ring you, and I ring if someone pulls out of placement, and I can put someone else in there so we're not wasting a placement. I will ring you. I need your details to be up to date and answering your phones. I think I've probably covered that. Yes, also I will SMS students if I need to. If I can't get a response from you, I will SMS you to look at your university emails. But keep an eye on them, because, you know, things change all the time, and I need you to be on the ball and ready to do anything that needs to be done. When you're emailing me, if I can get you please to put your, well, in fact, not just me, any topic coordinators, any of the academic staff, it's just that we don't have just one student. We've got hundreds of students. So we need to be able to see who you are and identify you really quite quickly. So in the subject line, if you can put your student ID, your name and topic, whatever it is, which topic you're talking about. Generally, for me, it will be 1013, 1017, 2013, whatever it may be. And you can write DHS, or it doesn't have to be a massive, it just tells me Joe Bloggs is wanting something about this, and I can see what year you're in. I can go and look and check all up. So if you wouldn't mind doing that on a regular basis, because it just cuts down our time hugely. I live downstairs in the main nursing and health science office. If you need me at any stage, that's where I live, and I work full time, so I'm here most of the time.
What did you press?
I think I pressed the wrong one. Basically, the in-place, your information comes via the Student 2 system. So if you move away and move to another address, you need to update that on the Student 2 system, and that will then come across to the in-place system. So you might not see it immediately change. It might take a day or two to change and update into the in-place system. So you can't change it on in-place alone. Your placements will be anywhere and everywhere. I need for all students to orientate to the 3 major hospitals: Lowell McEwen, Flinders Medical Centre, and Women's and Children's. If you go to the home page and you scroll down, you will see venue orientation. Click on there, log on to them, you'll see the dates. You have classes, so there'll be various dates that you can work in to your that suit you. So please orientate to those placements, please. Good girl. You will also be expected to travel rural. We've got a load of students, and we have a finite number of placements. Yes, transport, public transport is not always ideal for midwifery students, because you do earlys, lates and nights, and you can be 55 minutes, an hour and a half away from where you actually live. You need to have good transport that you can go and do your placements. With your rural placements, we have a rural health team who will help organise your accommodation. There is a reimbursement policy, and you can apply for that, but your details will be given to them and they will help help source very reasonable accommodation. All the venue information, as I said, is in the homepage on the website, so please have a look. The other thing that is there is your uniform information, your student IDs or your clinical IDs. You need to read that homepage and make sure that you start organising your uniform, your clinical badge. With your venue orientations, everyone's different. Some do online and you then go into the venue to do a formal walk around. Others are just 2 hours at the venue. So go on, have a look and you'll find out. Clinical ID. I'm sort of jumping ahead all around here, so. With anyone, and I have to say thank you to everyone because with the email that was sent out, I would say at least 70 to 80% of you have started, and there are a couple of people who have actually completed their compliance, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. But compliance actually takes some time. And in the email that I sent to you, I sent a specific list of things that you really need to do as a matter of urgency. Because what happens is now you've got the nursing students to compete with as well, and then all of the other allied health students. So, you know, things like TB is the first thing that you need to get organised. It's an online questionnaire, really easy, very simple. And then you follow through from there. But you can't get, if you have to have immunisations, you can't have those until you know what your TB status is. So it's a matter of working through that sheet and doing the things that need to be done, because at the end of the day, some of you won't have done your Hep B, for instance. Now, Hep B is a course of about 7 months. You have your first one, 4 weeks later you have your second one, and then you can't have the next one until 4 months later, and then you've got to have a serology test. So this is a long time. I know what I want to say. So it takes quite some time to actually complete the course. So I need you to start it as soon as possible after your TB's been confirmed. I think that's... just on the serology, everybody needs to have their serology for the ones that you can have. There's not everything that you can get serology, but you know, the ones that you can, please get your serology, because you need to take all of your compliance. You need to have a portfolio and you need to take those to placement, because there are spot checks. So if they come up to you and say, we want to see your compliance, you need to be able to produce it. And that means your serology as well. So please remember, you may have it all ticked off, but you have to have that serology to produce the evidence.
And how recent does the serology have to be? Because I had mine done about 2 years ago for work.
That's fine. That's fine. Can I just finish and then ask your questions? Keep a note of them, and we'll go from there. These are the timelines. These timelines are for me because I have deadlines as well. So SA Health get on to me if I don't meet my timelines. I give you, I give myself 2 weeks to get through all of the compliance and make sure all of the rosters are done, all of the information. There's a lot of background work that goes on. So I need you to be really clear on what your compliance deadlines are. If you're not compliant, you will not get a roster. The other thing I just want to briefly let you know is with your COS, you need to be compliant for your COS as well. You cannot attend any appointments without being compliant. The other, yes, if you are planning on doing second semester, please enrol. I'm not a mind reader. I will not do a roster for you if you are not enrolled. I would suggest enrolling now for second semester. If you don't wish to continue, at least you've got a roster and you can withdraw without fail before census. So yeah, I'm not a mind reader, need to know. If you are considering withdrawing, please speak to Mariam, who is our course coordinator, and she will give you advice of what you can do and when, as well as Alex Stewart, of course. But Mariam is probably your first port of call, and then Alex. And that's me done, really. So have we got any questions?
I'm the roving person, so...
If you've started your Hep B vaccination, does that mean you are compliant if you've had at least one dose of it, or do you have to finish the full course?
No, you don't have to finish the whole course. You just need to have two doses, and then obviously you can't be in the first instance. However, I need to let you know that I expect everyone to be compliant with all of their immunisations by the end of November.
Just with the Hep B, do we still get things signed off and upload what we have done and then refresh it when we get our final course?
Yes, indeed. Every time you get a new immunisation or a new serology or whatever, absolutely get the doctor to put the date, sign it, and then upload.
With the deed poll, we need a witness. Does that need to be a JP or can it be anyone?
No, anyone over 18.
Yeah.
I'll go here and then raise it first.
On In Place, there was like this additional like state-based working with children check. How do you get that one?
No, we only need the working with children at this stage. Working with children is our state-based, so you don't need to do anything else. So DHS will provide you with that one.
I also have a UK police check because I've lived there for a number of years. Do you require a copy of that as well for compliance?
No. How long have you been in Australia?
7 years.
No, just need your... and please make sure when you get the police check that it is unsupervised for vulnerable groups in the healthcare setting. If it says supervised, I cannot accept it.
For enrolment in the second semester practical subject, it wouldn't let me enrol because I hadn't done the prerequisite of the first semester subject. So I don't think there's any way we can actually enrol in that second PEP at the moment.
Alex. Second semester.
That might be a system error, so you can send me an email and I can apply a waiver. I do know, Lynn, you might know as well, there was an issue with 2 topics.
That issue's been fixed.
Yeah, so if you jump back on now, you should have no issues enrolling. If you still do though, send me an email and I'll pop a prereq waiver on so it will stop that.
Yeah, so it should work now, but if not, please let Alex know and then we can work it out. Yep. Jenny, you got another question? Yes.
For the, as we go into second and third year, where the placements are longer, if we're put on a rural placement, is that for the whole block, or do you spread them out a bit?
No, I work in 2-week blocks. So if you're going rural, unless you live rural, you would only get... No.
2 weeks is it.
It may be 4 weeks though. Like if we do some placements in the Northern Territory.
Yes.
If we do placements in the Northern Territory in the Aboriginal communities, they will be a minimum of 4 weeks.
Yeah. But most would be 2, but on like as rule of thumb. So it would be like something a bit different that you might like that you would do for 4, but that would be negotiated anyway. Yeah.
And if you went to the Northern Territory, you would have to do ongoing compliance. There are other things that you must do for Northern Territory placements.
But we wouldn't have many students going there, would we?
No,
Kate?
not at this stage.
Yeah. Some students live rurally, and so for them they like doing all of their placement rural, but they'll do like a couple of weeks in the city. You know. So I've got a question up the back. 2 questions up the back, Jen. Coming.
No worries. And I've got another one I want to talk to you about as well.
When would we be needing a Hep A vaccination?
Hep A is only if you go to the Northern Territory. So look, you know, if you have any inkling that you might like to go to the Northern Territory, you would need to start. Yeah, you would need to start your Hep A as well. So, to be honest, in first year you're not going to go. So you've got all year to do your Hep A. It's not mandatory, but you know, again, if you want the experience in a remote place, then it's better to be prepared.
Can you please go over again how we do the orientation for the hospitals?
Yes, certainly. I will again send this presentation that I've done today out to all of you. It will have the links there, but our home page is Midwifery Professional Experience Placement. On that page, it's got a vast amount of information. If you scroll down to the second lot of information, it actually says venue orientation. Click on the drop-down box and then you can find each of the venues. No, In Place is a placement system, so that's only where your placements will be. So, so click on the venue that you're looking to get orientated to, and then every one of the venues needs to know that you're coming because of COVID, so you need to email, and the emails are there to let them know that you would like to book into whichever particular date that you're after. Sorry.
The compliance checklist that you said was emailed out, what email address would that have come from, just so I can check?
Generally, it will be, I will only usually email from now on to your university email, but it may have, if you didn't have a university email at the time, it may have gone to your private email.
You sent it from your Jenny.
Yeah, but it can come, and a lot of the time it will come from CNHS, which is Clinical College of Nursing and Health Sciences. So yeah, so either one of those. But generally it will be CNH. I just wanted to also, someone asked me earlier about refresher courses in CPR and manual handling. I just want to clarify that you can do a refresher course, however it cannot be an online refresher course. It has to be a practical refresher course, so you actually have to go in and do a refresher somewhere. But that is only if you have done a full course of within the past 3 years. So if you did it 4 years ago, you have to go in and do the full course again. So refreshers are only if you have done it within 3 years.
With placement, do we have an option to opt in for night shifts?
No. There are set rosters, and I have student lines. So you might be student line in labour and delivery. You might be student 5 in postnatal. So I try and change you up so you're not doing the same shifts all the time. But clinics are the only ones that are day shifts and continuous day shifts. Everything else you do rotating shift work, and you do public holidays, weekends. We're getting you organised to be professionals.
I've already got my police check, but I put supervised instead of unsupervised. Do I have to do another one?
You certainly do.
Oh, really?
No, I was going to say, and that's only if you do it perhaps at the police, and the police station. A lot of people do it online, and they won't change it.
And if you do the orientation to the hospitals this year but don't end up doing placement this year, do you have to redo it every year or just the once?
With the 3 tertiary venues, no, you don't. It's valid for 3 years, so every 3 years you need to do it. If you're going private, then yes, you have to do it on an annual basis. The one that's the trickiest is Ashford. Ashford are very, very pedantic. With your Hep B especially, you have to have evidence that you've had all of your shots and your serology. You cannot just rock up to do an orientation at Ashford. You either have to have a placement there and or a COAS lady that you're following through. And if you haven't registered your COAS lady, they will not accept you for an orientation. They have very limited orientations as well, so you really need to be on the ball with Ashford. I just want to let everyone know as well, you might not need it, but we have a JP on campus as well. I've got a roster of when they're here and where they're at, and I'll leave it here, so if anybody needs it, they can get a JP. You can give that to Kate.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Let's give her a little clap. Say thanks.
Alrighty, so let's talk about my role. So I teach here. I teach midwifery skills and midwifery complexities, and then I do the final practical topic as well. So I work closely with Jenny, who's leaving. So if you're not compliant, she'll tell me, and I'll tell you, and it'll go around and around until you get compliant. Compliance, the reason we bang on about it is it's insurance. Okay, so we want you to be covered with insurance when you go out on placement. If anything unforeseen will happen, you need to be covered for insurance. So that's why we're really strict. Even with COAS, okay, you have to be compliant with COAS. If we find out that your life support, basic life support, has expired and you've followed through this woman, you went to her birth and you've completed it, that COAS will be removed because you weren't covered. Does that make sense? Right, so I'm that mean person who'll go, sorry, that COAS has been removed, you need to, recruit another one. All right? Perfect. So let's talk about something a little more happier, because that's all got very serious very quickly. So semester 1, if you're doing the 3-year degree, you do 40 hours of placement in semester 1 in a postnatal and antenatal ward. All right, semester 2 you do 80 hours on postnatal, antenatal and or home visiting. Then we go to second year. Semester 1, you do 246 hours, and that's in an antenatal clinic, labour and birthing and postnatal. And then semester 2, it's 240 hours, and again, it's across all of the maternity units. And third year, we introduce the nursery topics, and so you do 80 hours in a nursery, then plus your 240 hours across all of the units and wards. Everybody taking their photos? Perfect. So if you're on RN entry, we cram all of that into 2 years for you because we're really kind. On top of working, you guys need to also fit in 246 hours in semester 1, 240 hours of placement in semester 2, and then in your second year, it's the same as everybody else. So it's a big, as I said, midwifery is you're on call, and it's a busy degree. Yeah, and as I think we've all said, it's rotating rosters. So it's late, early, nights, public holidays, weekends. It just keeps on going on. So our course is accredited by ANMAC, and these are the things that you actually have to prove and you have to evidence. So across the course, you need to do 100 antenatal visits, 10 abdo-palps, 10 complex antenatal cares. You've got to do 6 hours of antenatal education and 4 completed handheld records, which when you go into these topics, you'll get all of the information you need for those. Across in the intrapartum or birthing, you need to actually be present at and have hands-on delivery for 30 normal vaginal births, 20 complex births, 10 first stage of labour cares, and 10 physical assessments of progress in labour. As I said, you'll understand what all that means when you start the topics. Postpartum, okay, so postnatal, you need 100 postnatal visits, 5 complex postnatal cares and 5 complex breastfeeding. Neonatal, you need 20 assessments of the newborn and 10 complex neonatal cares, and then of course there's the COAS. So for the direct entries, you've got 15 you've got to do, and the RN entries is 10 across the 3 years. So it's a lot of practical stuff. So that's why your placements are in 6 weeks blocks, and you have lots of them, so you can actually achieve all your numbers.
Sorry, can I just...
Yeah.
This is just being devil's advocate here.
Do it online.
I don't really need one. I've got a boom box. If you're out on placement and say you're doing a 2-week block or whatever, and you just don't happen to get complex births, they're all just straightforward vaginal births. Wouldn't that be lovely? Yeah. There's not a lot of chance of that happening, is that you're going to get some of those cases?
Yeah, for sure. So you'll go out on placement for a birthing placement. You'll have 2 weeks at Women's and Children, so you won't get a birth. The next person will go in there, go to Women's and Children's and get 30 births. Yeah, like it is what it is. Yeah. So nobody has never been able to register as a midwife because they haven't got their numbers. Everybody gets their numbers. All right. In third year, you can start taking on extra shifts to up your numbers and up your hours and all that type of stuff too. So you will get them. So sometimes it feels like you're never going to reach this target, but you will reach the target. All right. Any other questions about that? I'm going to get out that light. So continuity care. This is probably where most people have their biggest anxiety attacks over this one. It's actually, the reason we do continuity of care is because it's actually really, really good for starters. The aim of it is you focus your learning and the meaning of pregnancy, birth and postnatal care on individual women, yeah? So you get to journey with them from, just finding out that they're pregnant, go to their first triage visit, and then journey through them. You actually learn about all the community supports, the different types of care in midwifery, whether it's birth centre, independent midwife, high risk, so you go along and you actually are involved, and the relationship is excellent. It's really exciting. The woman knows that you're a student, and she is there and she will help you do whatever things you need. She's more than happy for you to palpate her belly, to practice, taking blood, all of that type of stuff. So They're your advocates throughout the course. So your portfolio. So the RN entries who start with me on Monday will get their portfolios. The direct entry students who start with Fiona, I think it is on Monday as well, in 101.3.
Is that what day you start that one?
101.3?
No, 101
Wednesday. On Wednesday, you'll get your portfolio. Okay, so that'll all make sense. Now the portfolio, right, let's admit it, it's going to be a kind of boring document, but you need to read it from cover to cover. In there is it explains every single piece of work that you need to get signed off, checked off, written off, all right? So you need to read that cover. Read it before you go to bed. It'll make you go to sleep. It's very boring, but it's a really important document, all right?
I think, too, the reason that Kate's really emphasising that is because we get so many questions, and Kate gets so many emails with students asking questions that are already in the their answer is in the portfolio. So I think it's just like really important for you to read it.
So everything about the course, why it started, where it started, what you've got to do, what you've got to achieve is in that document, okay? So in there you have all of the templates. So every time you go to a venue, you've got to take your attendance record, you've got to show them your objectives, you've got assessment documents, you've got co-summary sheets, and you've got all of the midwifery care reflections and things. So everything is in that document, and I think Liz, in her topic, is even going to do a little test to see that you've made sure you've read that document. All right, it's very important.
Where do we get that from?
So people who are starting in 2013 on Monday, I'll give that out. Fiona in 1013 will give that out on Wednesday. All right. You can also access the new one online. Okay, so it should be in the midwifery pods online. But once you've got your hard copy, you know, it'll be your best friend throughout this course. Yeah. Any questions about templates? It's actually a legal document, okay, as well. So you need to make sure that everything, when you have a signature, it's signed, the name is printed, and there's a date on it, okay? If we can't recognise or figure out who the signature's from, we can't count that document. So if you're working with a doctor who's just signing their name, just say, can you print your name and date it, please? Okay, we need all of those records. International placements. Well, COVID's certainly put a stop to a lot of that. But we are trying really hard to get our international placements off the ground again. Yep.
Sorry, this is probably a question that should have been from Jenny.
But with the compliance documents, where do you guys sit on the COVID vaccination for students?
Yeah. Great question. So when the COVID vaccination comes out, you guys will all have to be vaccinated. Okay. Extenuating circumstances will be pregnancy. All right.
And breastfeeding too, isn't it?
And breastfeeding. Okay. So other than that, because you are going into healthcare settings and you're working with newborns, they're considered vulnerable, so you'll need to do your COVID.
Does
when
that
it happens.
mean, sorry, that we're then considered in that first rollout?
Probably not. So until you can get your vaccination, you'll have a COVID declaration form that you will have to fill out, and that's for every single venue you go to. So if your placement is 6 weeks and you've got 3 different placement venues, the COVID form is got to be filled out for every venue.
Yeah, and like, so you're probably in group 2 or whatever, but don't forget that Jenny and Kate will be very much onto giving you all the information you need. So don't like panic or worry. You'll always get a directive from Kate or Jenny about what's going on with that sort of thing. Okay.
So if there is an outbreak of COVID and the hospitals change their policies, the venues will contact me and then I will transfer the information to you. Okay, so last year everybody's on placement, of course COVID hit, and every hospital has a different policy, of course. So, you know, the people from Women's and Children's were allowed to stay, but you couldn't go to Flinders, all of that type of stuff. So whatever the directives are, the venues will contact me and I will forward that on. Okay? But fingers crossed we're not going to do that this year. That was too much work last year. Way too much work. So back to international placement. So we used to take, sorry, in the back.
Sorry. If it does happen again this year, how will that work in terms of completing your placement if you cannot attend hospitals?
Yeah, so we kind of figure that out as it happens. Because kind of nobody knows. And as I said, because every venue has a different policy, you know, some hospitals were happy to keep them going, so whoever was allocated there could keep going, the others had to stop or whatever. So we make it work. Last year, placements ceased in semester 1 for every student except third years. Third years were allowed to continue. So then the first and second years had to do 2 lots of placement in semester 2 to catch up. So I'm just going to go with let's not go there. Yeah, so much easier. Any other questions so far? If you on a placement and you miss a shift because you're sick or you have a coast birth, you have to make that placement up, that shift up. So if you miss a night duty because you're sick, you have to make up a night duty. Yeah? You can't miss a night duty and take on an early. Why do you think I'm saying that?
Because that messes with somebody else's placement.
Could, yes.
But you need to have a certain amount of information.
Perfect. You've got a certain amount of hours you've got to do, okay? And you cannot just go and do 2 hours. If you're short 2 hours, it's an entire shift. So if you miss a night, you do a night. Miss an early, you do an early. Yeah? Okay? If for some unknown reason you're, just say we're at Calvary and you're there for 4 weeks and you get really sick for 2 weeks of it, you actually have to do your placement back at Calvary. We can't send you to another venue because that's to do with facilitation. Okay?
So early, one of my last nursing placements, I early on caught a cold as I do around about the same time every year, and I just worked an extra 2 hours each day that I'm there. Does that work? Because I was only off for about 2 days rather than staying 2 days on a weekend or something.
Yeah. So it's to do with facilitation. So you have to work that one out with the facilitator, and if they're happy with that. Most will go if you miss part of a shift, you miss the whole shift, you'll do a whole one again. Yeah. Any other questions?
If you're regional for say 2 weeks,
yep.
I take it you do like 5 straight days, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Are we able to come back home in the 2 days that we're not there and then go back the second week, or do you just have to be out there for the whole time in case you're on call?
I've been asked that question. Depends what you're placed out there for. So if you're out there and you're working with mid-group practice, you'll need to stay out there because you're on call. If you're there for antenatal clinics, which are only 9 to 5 and they close on weekends, I guess you can come back and travel.
Yeah,
It's just more of an
think
expense.
too, with rural, the problem is that it's usually they have less births than they do obviously in the city. So you're actually better off staying because what they can do for you is say, oh, on the weekend, if someone goes into labour, do you want us to call you?
Yeah, okay.
And you'll be like, yeah, sure. So it's like they've got some flexibility, sort of like you don't just have to be like there from the hours that they give you because it's a bit different in rural, if that makes sense. So it's all about that rapport that you build with the clinical facilitator that's looking after you and, you know, precepting you, looking after you for that 2 weeks.
This clinic facilitator, who is that? Is that someone in the hospital or
Yeah,
like
so we
a
haven't
senior
talked
midwife
about
or something like
Yeah.
that?
So Women's and Children's and Flinders have hospital facilitators. Yeah. So they have their own people who look after you, and they're for midwifery students. Larmac, Burnside, Northeastern, Gawler, Calvary, Modbury, Ashford, all have different facilitators. Yeah, so they have facilitators that aren't attached to the hospital. So when you get your roster, when Jenny sends it out, you'll get the name of your facilitator. Yeah? And they will come and see you. They'll spend a decent amount of time with you because you've got a lot of paperwork you've got to fill out. Yeah. Any other questions? If you go remote, the facilitators are linked to the hospital that you go to. All good? So international placements. So when everybody has their COVID jabs and when the world opens up again, we will will start doing international placements again. A couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, they went to Indonesia. Last year I was taking the team to Vietnam. This year we are trying to start up Northern Territory just to make it so it's COVID safe. But also we're looking at doing another international placement. I said it earlier that I found an organisation called the 2H Project, which works with training maternal health workers, obs, gynaes and sonographers at the moment in the country of Cambodia. So the uni has approached me to see whether I can start taking students to Cambodia with me. So fingers crossed that will happen. That won't happen until 3rd year, all right? Because you've got time. We've got time. You guys will probably be the first cohort really that gets to go international placement, because we should have that whole COVID thing sorted by then. Fingers crossed. Of course, those placements are limited, so it'll be an expression of interest, yeah, and you know, it'll go on your grades as well. Okay, so there's a motivation to get HDs all the way through. I'll have this question at the back.
With the funding for that, is that we pay for it and the uni reimburses it all, or is that
So placements, international placements, there is a DFAT scholarship that you apply for, and that will cover your flights and your accommodation, but not your food when you're in country. So, and that is something, depending on when the money comes through, you might have to purchase it and then you get reimbursed, or you'll get your lump sum of money and use that to purchase.
Are there additional things that would be needed in order to work in that environment?
You will probably just have to have your Heb A as well as all the rest of the stuff. So that's something that you want to probably think about, or something's on your bucket list while you're getting your jabs. Get them all. Just keep going, just keep getting them. Yeah. Any questions? No? Oh, and Mariam. Let's ask Mariam some questions, but she's not here.
What that meant was, if you've got other questions, now you can send them to Mariam. So that's her email address, seeing she's not here today.
Yeah, that's right, I can blame her. So does everybody feel happy with the coast recruitment? Yeah, so call the midwifery brochures downstairs front office, grab a handful of those each. There's also that link on the website as well, you can find that. If you go to any of the flow sites, up there's the midwifery pod. Yeah, and in those you can click on, there's one about COAS. Actually, Jenny mentioned before that the COAS has to be registered. All right, so when you recruit somebody, after you've confirmed that they're happy to have you, you need to jump on that COAS flow site and register the woman. All right, again, that's insurance, because she registers, she's birthing, say, at Flinders. With our registration, they say, okay, she's got a student attached, so that means that they're covered. Once you complete the COAS, you've actually got to go back on and complete the COAS as well.
We can't register or recruit anyone until the end of the semester. Anyway.
Correct.
No, that's sort of what I was going to
Yeah.
sort of say, that obviously we need them to be giving birth in the second half of the year,
because we need to have done, like we were discussing earlier, so many appointments or whatever with that person. So ideally we want someone giving birth second 6 months of the year.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Any other questions or reasons?
I'm sure you'll have more. You'll go away and then you'll think of all these questions, and that's fine. Yeah, it does cover a lot. With also with the births records, that you have to get 30 vaginal births, right? This comes down to technicalities. So if you're having somebody who's got twins, that's one birth, it's not two. All right, triplets, one birth, not three. Okay. Yes. That's right. You can get them all done. Right. So, and the reason for that is you would normally get hands-on for the first birth, and it's usually an obstetrician who will get the second one, because they're usually the more complex one. All right. If you're working with an obstetrician who's amazing with students and wants to teach, and they deliver the head with forceps or 1-2s, and then you deliver the body, That's not a normal vaginal birth because somebody's put something on the baby's head, okay, to get the baby out. That's not normal. It's counted as that's a complex birth.
So the same as the breech delivery?
Breech delivery, if it's normal and a midwife initiated, that's a normal.
C-section classified as complex.
Correct. All right, that was if sections are complex, elective sections are complex. If you're at a breech and they have to use forceps to get the head out, incorrect. Complex.
And what about like late terminations for medical reasons and things like that? Because a lot of the time they're vaginally delivered and that would fall under the same category.
That would be a complex birth. That's complex. So stillbirth are complex.
Anyway, so there's plenty of time to revisit that, and it's written in the portfolio.
It is written
as well.
in the portfolio, so read that document.
Yeah.
All right, that is the answer
Otherwise
to all your questions.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, so
Done?
I've just got a couple of finishing off slides, and then that's the end. And then you can go catch the rest of, if you didn't quite finish it in the activities out in the courtyards and stuff, you can go and join that. Thanks. So this is just the final couple of slides. So making the most of orientation. So just remember that orientation actually goes for 4 weeks. So this is O week this week, but there's also Connect Week, Skills Week and Wellbeing Week. And all those events, so it's ongoing events for those whole 4 weeks, and you can check them all out from that email address there. Just to show you some of the social events that are on, if you want to be sort of a uni student that gets all social, you can go to some of these things. Got lots of stuff on. Because if you haven't been to the main campus, I suggest that you do go and have a look, because it's actually like really nice. Like we're a bit down in the dregs down here, unfortunately, but it's very nice in the main campus. There's a whole big, beautiful student hub and lots of really nice grounds. But yes, for one day we are actually getting a new building here, so it's very exciting, and that's already like started the planning for it, so that's pretty cool. Apparently there's a video library as well for orientation in case there's things that you want to like watch on video. So things, for example, understanding assignments and grades might be a really good one to look at, and studying for success, things like that. So that's good that they've got all those now. I think COVID sort of inspired some of that, because we've got a lot more online stuff available for students to look at now, which makes it a bit easier. So that's the end. Have you enjoyed your day? Yes. Yeah. Do you have any specific feedback, questions, like anything that you want to improve or that you thought was good? Anyone just want to do a quick comment? Anything? Happy? Someone saying something? Did I hear an eye or something? No? All right. So you're all good? You've got all your resources? Don't forget, there's things over here you might not have collected yet. And we look forward to seeing you next week.